Hi and welcome to today's update. Now today we're going to continue on the theme of these proposed changes to super and talk a little bit high level around, well, there seems to be a bit of discussion around there's some benefits and it's unfair, but in our view there's over $3 trillion in super. Most of it is being taxed already. The system works pretty well. It could have a few slight reforms, but from a big picture, the government last year collected over about $600 billion in taxes. 40% of that came from individuals. So individuals are already, PLYG primarily, are wearing the biggest hit in terms of super revenue. And they're being encouraged to save and to work hard and start businesses and have good careers and whatever that may be. And they pay a lot of tax. Australia's a fairly highly taxed, but that's okay. We like this country, generally speaking. It's pretty good. And we're all for a fair system that looks after the disadvantaged, but also really want to have a system that encourages growth and encourages people to have a go and encourages people to save. Because if they save more, then they won't rely on the government, and the government therefore is there as a safety net. However, and this money in super, by the way, is your money. So is everything you earn. So constitutionally, the government has an agreement to be able to tax us. Again, not saying they shouldn't have that, but that's how it works. I mean, that's our money to start with. And then we agree to pay tax to provide all the services, which is fantastic. And the same with super. It's your money. It was set up as a compulsory system. And so all this tinkering creates a bit of concern and also creates a bit of a philosophical argument about, well, what is the purpose of super? And that's our concern here today, to talk about, well, does super need to be taxed more? Now again, over $3 trillion in super, most of that money has sat in accumulation stage at some point in its life. And so the way it works in super is, if you've got a super fund, and this all started back in 1992 when it became compulsory. There was super before that, but it was compulsory in 92. And that was 3% back then. It's now 10.5% of your salary. You can contribute up to $27,500 from your employer or personally. That's sort of tax deductible. They call that a concessional contribution. So that either comes off your taxable income or it's deductible. And to do that, they go, okay, we can put that money into super, but it pays 15% tax to get in there. And this is your super fund. So if you're earning $45,000 and above, you're paying tax at a marginal tax rate of 19%. Australia's individual tax system is a marginal system. It increases in steps. And so 15% is better than 19. If you're earning under that, there's actually a rebate system, so you don't pay more than what you would have paid. So it's pretty fair. Obviously, as your income goes up, so if you're earning over $180,000 a year, your tax rate's 45% plus Medicare, 47%. It's almost half your pay going into, at a marginal level, going into tax. So this whole fairness debate, I think people who earn a lot of money would argue that, hey, paying $80,000, $90,000 a year in tax is a pretty good contribution versus someone who's earning $20,000 and not paying tax. So I think this fairness has to come into light. And the same with super. I'm not saying that someone should have 500 million in super and not pay tax, but I'm saying let's be careful about what we're trying to say here, because if someone's earned a lot over the years and paid a lot of tax and paid their 15%, then should they be taxed again at the end? Especially as at the moment the government has got just under 600 billion of tax. 10 years ago they collected about 350 billion, I think. So that tax revenue is on the rise. It's a sign of the growth of the Australian economy. But the government at the moment is collecting a lot of money in tax, and that has increased 7.5% last year, and 40% of that comes from individuals. So, and this is individuals again paying more tax in their savings. So do individuals need to pay more tax? So you pay 15%, and then along the way, this $3 trillion of money pays 15% within the fund. So it's being taxed along the way. So there's lots of tax in super. So that's in a nutshell how it works. It's the simplest way to look at it. Now there are some ways to get money into super tax-free. You can. This is where people start talking about. You can put some money into super tax-free. That's your 110,000 a year, or 3 times that, 330,000. That money's probably had tax paid on it somewhere in its life, from property, businesses, inheritance, whatever the case may be. Then what happens if you're 60 and you retire, then super can be tax-free up to $1.7 million each. So once that becomes 1.7 million, and normally it's age 60 plus, and you're fully retired, then you don't pay tax on that. And that is a nice benefit, understand that. But again, along the way, you pay to 15%, you might have got a bit of money in tax-free. If you take money out of super before you retire, it is taxed. Quite a complicated calculation, but it is taxed. And if you die, Now, this is something that a lot of people don't realise. If you die and some of this money goes to a non-financial dependent, which is anyone other than your spouse, generally speaking, they can pay 15%. So you've got $1 million in super, potentially that's another $150,000 to the government from this money that you've saved. So when we talk about tax reform, we've got to be careful that people state, oh, it's a bit unfair for some, all these people with lots of money aren't paying tax. Hang on a second, they've paid a lot of tax along the way, and they've paid a lot of income tax, they've paid businesses potentially, they've employed people, they've paid all this money in super. Yes, there's a bit of a concession here to get some money tax-free. That's pretty fair, I think, given all the tax that's been paid along the way. And these people here aren't relying on the government for other pensions and the like. So to me, it could be reviewed slightly, but big changes and a sort of this big broad statements around there's a few people getting a significant benefit. That's minuscule when the government's collecting over $600 billion of tax, and that's not going to make a huge difference to their tax revenue if they tinker with that. So that's my comment today. I think we've just got to really understand the tax that goes on in super before and the government as well, before they start changing the rules. Oh, the other quick thing is franking credits. So there's this misnomer that particularly self-managed super funds get an advantage. You've got to remember what franking credits are. Australian companies pay tax at 30% or 25% depending on their size. There's a double taxation system in Australia, so the end receiver of that profit doesn't pay tax again. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if you're in a super fund or an individual, you're a company or whatever. So if a company has paid 30%, they pass that through a dividend. I receive that dividend. I get a credit for that. So if I'm in a super fund paying 0%, I can get money back. But that is the same rule if I'm in an industry fund or my own fund. It's just if I've got my own self-managed fund, it's a bit more real. I can see it. I might get a check. Whereas if I'm in an industry fund, I don't see that. It just gets washed up in the account. So the rules aren't different for self-managed super funds. They're the same for everyone. It's just it's a tax rule. So that's a big change if they were going to come back and tinker with that again. Not just a super rule. So there's the comments today. Super changes on the agenda again. Lots to talk about. We'll keep updating you and keep updating you with our thoughts around this. But again, $3 trillion here, there's a lot of tax revenue going on in super, and individuals are taking already a fairly big, contributing quite a big slice to tax revenue. Thanks for listening.